Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa, a 29-year-old living in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm planning to move soon. I recently wrapped up a difficult year-and-a-half marriage, a situation that was made bearable thanks to my father's support and police intervention. Reflecting on it now, I realize I could have avoided this whole ordeal by simply saying no to the proposal. By nature, I'm shy and introverted, often preferring my own company. I tend to spend most of my time on my computer, occasionally venturing out to pubs for a drink, though I often feel uneasy around strangers and wary of forming new friendships for my own safety. My life changed dramatically at the age of 7 when I lost my mother to an untreated heart condition. After her passing, my father, a mariner since he was 25, took on the challenge of raising me. His long voyages meant he was often away, but he made sure to stay connected through letters and phone calls. I vividly remember the day he returned after my mother's death. I was inconsolable beside her coffin, and he found me there, embracing me tightly. "It's okay now, my little girl. Daddy's here. Everything will be all right," he reassured me. Yet, despite his comforting words, I couldn't stop crying, clinging to him for dear life. That night, I caught a glimpse of his own sorrow as he sat alone on the couch, whispering to himself before burying his face in a cushion and crying. It was only the second time I'd ever seen him cry, the first being when I was hurt as a child. I sometimes wonder if he felt burdened by the hardships we endured. He took a 3-month break from sailing after my mother's death, but when he prepared to leave again, he entrusted me to my grandmother. He urged me to be good to her and help out, promising to return soon, eager to taste the dishes I would learn to make. This period of my life, filled with both loss and resilience, has played a crucial role in shaping who I am today, and I look forward to what the future holds. But for now, it's time for me to go. My car is waiting. "Take care of yourself, honey," my dad said as he left, knowing he would be back in about 8 months. During his travels, he often sent me gifts and souvenirs from the places he visited. Most of my time was spent indoors, assisting my grandmother with household chores. I was never one for playing with other kids, and as I grew older, I found solace in the quiet of my room. When it came time for college, my father sent me back to our old house. The transition was challenging. I struggled to fit into college life and preferred to avoid face-to-face interactions. However, the internet became my refuge, granting me a confidence I lacked in the real world. Connecting with people online felt exhilarating and comforting, allowing me to share my thoughts and feelings without the fear of judgment that often came with my shyness. Through the screen, I formed friendships with those who understood me deeply, learning about their diverse lives and experiences. It was fascinating to discover the common threads that unite us all. Despite our differences, the internet truly bridges continents, forging connections in ways that were once unimaginable. In this vast digital landscape, I met Steven, who introduced himself as a content creator. Our friendship blossomed through messages, quickly evolving into video calls. To maintain my anonymity, I donned a Batman mask, while he obscured his face with a scarf and a beanie. "Hi Lisa, it's fantastic to finally see you," Steven greeted me during one of our calls. "Hello, Steven. It's nice to meet you, well, virtually," I replied with a hint of nervousness. "So, how are you feeling today? How many people have you chatted with?" he asked, a warm smile evident in his voice. "I'm doing okay, just a bit anxious, to be honest," I admitted. "That's completely normal, don't worry, I'm not scary, just as awkward as you are," he reassured me, which helped ease my tension. "This is our first real chat, so tell me more about yourself. How did you get into this online platform?" I prompted. "I really enjoy meeting new people and gaining different perspectives. I spend a lot of time at home, so this online community seemed like a great way to connect." "How about you?" he explained. "I'm your typical introvert, So socializing in person has always been a struggle for me. Online platforms make me feel more comfortable and allow me to open up. I shared. I get that. Virtual connections can be surprisingly meaningful. I'm really glad we found each other, he said. As we talked, we uncovered shared interests and exchanged stories about our lives, and I gradually began to relax. It's funny how you can connect so deeply with someone you've never met in person. I never imagined it would be this easy, I remarked. Thanks for making this so effortless, Stephen replied, his sincerity evident. The feeling is mutual, Stephen. You're great to talk to, and I'm glad we connected. If you ever want to chat again, just let me know. I'm usually online playing Mario, he added. Oh, I forgot to ask, do you play games? He inquired. Actually, no, I mostly blog and browse Reddit. There's so much interesting stuff there. I feel like I learn more from reading other people's stories than I do from real life, I confessed. I totally get that. Sometimes real life can be a drag. It's nice to meet new people, honestly. I trust my online friends more than the ones I have in person. The beauty of online interactions is that there's no pressure to keep in touch constantly. It's all on your terms, he explained. As our conversations continued, we formed a genuine bond despite only knowing each other online. Our shared understanding and open-mindedness made us feel like friends in a way that transcended the digital divide. I'm uncertain about where this connection will lead, but one thing is clear, my online experiences have significantly shaped who I am. As I navigate through life, I'll carry the lessons learned from these encounters with me. Meanwhile, my dad remains quite wary of my online activities. If he knew I was making friends in this space, he'd be really upset. The last time we spoke, he gave me a serious talk over dinner. How are your studies going, Dove? He asked. I've graduated, Dad, I replied. Well, you wouldn't know, you weren't there, I shot back, a hint of sharpness in my tone. Oh, Lisa, that's not good. I know, I was busy, and I'm sorry for missing it. I even emailed you saying I'd be there for your birthday. Tomorrow's my pumpkin's birthday. Stop calling me names, Dad. I'm not a little kid anymore. To me, you'll always be my little dove. Anyway, what are your plans for the future? Are you thinking of working? He pressed. I'm not sure yet, I admitted. What do you mean you're not sure? What are your friends up to these days? He continued, concern evident in his voice. I don't have any friends, Dad, I replied quietly. Listen, I didn't send you to your mom's place just for you to stay home and avoid the world. There's so much out there, so many people you'll miss out on if you don't get out there. Honey, that's the problem, Dad. I don't know how, I confessed. This exchange underscored the gap between his expectations and my reality, highlighting the contrast between our worlds. But I'll try. I mean, I do have friends, but they're all online. Online, Lisa? That's not the best way to make friends, he responded, concern etched on his face. Oh, come on, I sighed. All right, fine. How about we go out today? Maybe do a little shopping, just you and me? I hadn't been out much lately, and the thought of it felt daunting. Of course you can, Lisa. You need to try. This isn't a healthy way to live, my dad insisted. I understand, but ever since Janice passed away, Why are you bringing Mom into this? What are you trying to say? I interrupted, my anger bubbling to the surface. I'm not trying to say anything, honey. I just think we need to find ways to move forward from the past. We both loved your mom, but we have to learn to let go, he explained, his voice steady. My anger surged. I slammed my hand on the table and stood up, no longer able to stomach my food. I carried my plate to the sink, feeling the tension in the air. Lisa, please don't give your father that attitude. I'm just trying to help you. Why can't you see that? He pleaded. You don't know everything about me, so don't act like you do. I shot back, my frustration boiling over. I needed to escape, to find solace online, where I hoped Stephen would understand. He seemed like a genuinely nice person, someone who was understanding and willing to listen. It felt good to have someone to confide in, especially about the frustrations weighing on me. As an introvert, I found comfort in the safety of my home, with my computer screen as my constant companion. While others ventured out into the world, I preferred the familiarity of my virtual haven, where I could be myself without the pressure of face-to-face interactions. Lately, my dad had been pushing me more and more, especially since I confided in him about my online activities. He just didn't get it. To him, staying in my room all the time was a barrier to my growth and learning. He wanted me to step out of my comfort zone, but that prospect terrified me. I decided to vent my frustrations to Stephen, hoping he would understand what I was grappling with. Hey Lisa, do you want to meet up? We're both introverts, so we could go somewhere quiet with not too many people. I know a place like that, Stephen suggested, his tone light and inviting. I'm not sure. It all feels so sudden. I need some time to think it over, I replied, feeling a whirlwind of emotions. No rush at all. I just wanted to let you know what's been going on with me, he reassured me. Okay, no problem. I can wait. Whenever you're ready, you're always welcome to visit. Here's my address, Stephen responded, his voice filled with kindness and patience. Why are you being so nice to me? We're just strangers, right? I asked, taken aback by his genuine warmth. It's because I like you, he confessed, his tone straightforward. Really? You like me? I was taken aback, a mix of surprise and curiosity swirling within me. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit strange, but I genuinely want to get to know you better, and if you ever feel the same way, you know where to find me, he assured me, sincerity radiating from his words. Deciding to meet Stephen was a significant step for me, an attempt to break out of my shell and venture into the real world. As I stood outside his house, my heart raced with a blend of excitement and anxiety. After a month of online conversations, it was hard to believe I was finally about to meet him in person. He lived surprisingly close, just a 15-minute drive away. Taking a deep breath to steady my nerves, I knocked on his weathered wooden door. It creaked open, revealing Stephen, who greeted me with a warm smile that immediately put me at ease. There was an undeniable charm about him. His home, while not extravagant, exuded a cozy and welcoming atmosphere. As I stepped inside, I noticed the small details that painted a vivid picture of his personality: shelves lined with well-loved books, a stack of board games, and a neatly organized computer setup. Welcome to my humble abode. Your presence graces my domain, fair master, Stephen joked, throwing in some playful gamer lingo. Some of that gaming talk might go over my head, but thank you. This place is so cozy. Do you live here alone? I asked, taking in my surroundings. Nope. Fair princess. I live with my mom. She has the ground floor, and I've got the top floor all to myself. Come on, I'll give you a tour, he replied, his voice cheerful. We spent the day chatting, laughing, and deepening our understanding of each other. Meeting in person added a new dimension to our connection, enhancing the bond that had begun online. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, revealing shared interests and providing glimpses into our lives that had previously been obscured by screens. Getting to know Stephen beyond the digital realm only deepened my appreciation for him. He was just as kind and genuine in person as he had been online. and his quirky sense of humor endeared him to me even more. As the sun began to set, Stephen suggested we take a walk outside. I agreed without hesitation, and as we strolled through the nearby park, our conversation continued to flow smoothly. My initial nervousness melted away, and being with him felt like a natural extension of our online chats, now enriched by a tangible closeness. "Wait, so you didn't celebrate your birthday?" Stephen asked, surprise evident in his voice. "No, I didn't feel up to it, especially after that argument with my dad," I admitted. "I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure he'll come around. He's your dad, after all," Stephen tried to comfort me. I realize now that I made a mistake. I trusted him too much. His words felt sweet, like honey, but I didn't see that I was just another one of his games. When we started dating, he became overly possessive and jealous. He wanted me to talk to him all the time, whether on the phone or online. If I tried to chat with anyone else, he'd get angry. He kept saying he loved me and wanted to protect me, and I believed him. Why did I believe him? As our relationship grew stronger, it became clear that his mother disapproved of me. It was hard knowing she felt that way about someone she hadn't even met. Her disapproval weighed heavily on me, and I couldn't understand why she couldn't see the love Stephen and I shared. He often referred to himself as a mama's boy, and while I respected their bond, it made me feel like an outsider. The strangest part was that his mother seemed to want us to marry. She knew I didn't have anyone else since my dad wasn't around, and maybe she thought I could be useful to her. Not every parent is perfect. "Just look at your dad," Stephen would say, which stung. "Please, Stephen, when you say things like that, it hurts. But you know I'm the one who loves you, right? Your dad doesn't love you like I do. So stop complaining about my life and try to compromise," he would insist. We ended up having a secret wedding. Stephen didn't want me to invite my dad, claiming he'd never approve. He convinced me that my dad didn't care about me. I reluctantly agreed to marry him in a quiet ceremony. Deep down, I knew it was a gamble, but I felt overpowered by my circumstances. You might think I was weak, but my environment had shaped who I was, and I found myself blaming my inability to stand up for myself. After a few months of marriage, I began to witness a side of Stephen's mother that I had never anticipated, one steeped in cruelty and malice. It felt as if she derived pleasure from my misery, sowing seeds of doubt within me and leaving me feeling broken and powerless. It started with small comments and passive-aggressive jabs that gradually eroded my self-esteem. I tried to brush it off, hoping her disapproval would eventually wane, but it only escalated into a relentless barrage of emotional torment. "Is this supposed to be food? Do you think my son can eat this mess? Go and make it again. You fool! Why is this place so dirty? Are you blind? What a sloppy girl! Get up, lazy girl. Take care of the trash now. Honestly, have your parents taught you nothing?" Her harsh words pierced through me like daggers, inflicting deep wounds. She criticized every action, belittled my achievements, and manipulated situations to make me feel unworthy of Stephen's love. Meanwhile, my husband remained distant, sequestered in his room, lost in his music or video games. I felt trapped in an endless nightmare, unable to escape her oppressive grasp. Anger bubbled within me, directed at myself for being so vulnerable and foolish. How could I allow myself to be treated this way? I missed my dad terribly and regretted the arguments that had pushed him away. In a moment of frustration, I yelled at Stephen to leave me alone, and with a heavy heart, he complied just a few days after my birthday. Now, I felt utterly stuck, convinced I deserved this miserable existence. One day, feeling sick and feverish, I curled up on the sofa, hoping a nap would ease my discomfort. Just as I began to drift off, I was jolted awake by a cold splash of water. It was Margaret, my mother-in-law, glaring at me with contempt. What on earth are you doing sleeping on our couch? Did you get the groceries like I told you to? She snapped. I remained silent, too weak to respond. I see you want your old mother-in-law to do all the dirty work while you just lay around. You lazy devil, she hissed, slapping me across the face before shouting for Stephen. I couldn't take it anymore. I snapped. I'm not doing anything for you or your son. I've had enough of your cruelty. Find someone else to torment. I can't and I won't take it anymore. I receive no respect from this family, and I no longer care. As I turned to leave, something blunt struck the back of my head, and darkness enveloped me. When I came to, I found myself in a dimly lit room, my head pounding as I struggled to sit up. Where was I? I could hear faint sounds approaching, growing louder as they neared. Crawling toward the noise, I spotted a metal door with a small window. It swung open to reveal Stephen's grinning face. Is my wife scared of the dark? He taunted. What is this? Stephen, please let me out. This isn't funny, I pleaded, panic rising in my chest. Shut up. This is what you get for disrespecting my mother. Now I'll make sure you never see the light of day again. He sneered, sealing my fate with those chilling words. Stephen, please, I'm begging you. I'll do whatever you ask. Just don't leave me here in the dark. Desperation flooded my voice as I realized the gravity of my situation. Hold your horses, Buttercup. If you start behaving, maybe I'll consider letting you out. For now, this will be your hideaway. You don't like going out much anyway. Besides, who's out there for you? Your mom's gone, and your dad doesn't care. You were just a forgotten soul until my house gave you a fresh start, which you've utterly squandered. Stephen replied coldly. I can fix this. I didn't mean to upset you. Please, I hate the dark. I cried out again, hoping for a sliver of compassion. Daddy's girl. Huh? Why don't you call him then? Maybe he'll magically appear and save his precious princess. He mocked, slamming the small window shut and leaving me alone in the cold, suffocating darkness of the basement. Fear and anger consumed me. How had my life spiraled into this nightmare? I had only stood up to my mother-in-law's cruelty, and now I was paying a steep price for demanding respect. In my despair, I searched my pockets and felt the sharp edges of my broken phone. Just when all hope seemed lost, I noticed a faint blinking light on the screen. There was still a chance. With trembling hands and tears streaming down my face, I managed to dial my father's number, my voice quivering as I explained my dire situation, clinging to the fragile hope that he could rescue me from this horror. 3 days later, just as despair was threatening to swallow me whole, I heard a car pull up outside. My heart raced as I listened to footsteps approach. The door swung open, and there stood my father, tall and resolute, his presence flooding me with relief and disbelief. I couldn't believe he had dropped everything to come and save me. Accompanied by the police, he had come just in time. Stephen and Margaret were arrested immediately, their attempts to deny their actions falling flat against the overwhelming evidence. What have you done to my daughter, you psychopaths? You have no idea what awaits you in court, my father roared, fury radiating from him. We're sorry. We never meant any harm. I was going to let her go today. I swear, Stephen stammered, his excuses ringing hollow. And who are you to decide my daughter's fate? You're just a pathetic lowlife. My father spat back as he helped me out of the dark basement. As I stepped into the light, a newfound sense of strength and determination filled me. The ordeal had been harrowing, but it had also shown me that with my father's unwavering support, I could overcome anything. From that moment on, I promised myself to stand up for who I was and never let anyone silence me again. Determined to leave the past behind, I decided to move to California with my dad. Seeking safety and a fresh start, Georgia no longer felt like home. I also vowed to be more cautious with online acquaintances, a hard lesson learned, but one that would help shape my future.